All right, then class is being recorded. Now, we have seen your performance from the score, from the test. A good number of you guys did well. However, there are still some that are lagging behind. I understand that maybe the time was not really enough, but it's just like to just put you guys under a little pressure to see what you can deliver. But the questions were not really hard. The questions were not hard. You go over them again, you see that there are things I've made mention of before. We have taught you guys over and over again. Recorded versions are always there for you to make references to. Now today we'll be introducing a new topic, which is fundamental analysis. Fundamental analysis. Sorry, before we start this, the whole class. So if you did bad in the test, it doesn't mean that you're failed or you're not getting the certificate. There's still a chance for you to make it up at the exams, right? You can, have your analysis very clean and correct during the exams so that you could score and you'll be able to get the certificate. Now, the certificate doesn't even mean that you're going to be profitable or you don't start making money immediately. But the certificate means that you understand what you have been taught. And it is only when you understand what you have been taught that you're going to apply it in the market for you to be able to make money, right? So you need to understand the course first, and the certificate will prove to anyone out there that you really understand how to trade the market using the approach we have taught you guys. So that's just the whole point of the certificate. Even if you don't get the certificate and you say go back and maybe watch the videos, put in more effort, you apply the knowledge maybe later, you still make money. And that's the primary aim of a trader, I believe. So, but it's still important and paramount that you get the certificate, right? So that you have an evidence that you went through this academy. You get. So that's just one of the use of a certificate. So try as much as possible to have a good score so that you get the certificate and apply everything I'm teaching you. And I'll also teach you because you still have time in the market. That's the only way you'll be able to make money from the market. Now, today we'll talk about fundamental analysis. Fundamental. Once you hear the word fundamental, can someone let me know what you think of? When you hear the word fundamental, what do you think or what comes to your mind first? Fundamental analysis, fundamental, the basics, right? That's another word for fundamental. Yes, that's true. What else? There are other synonymous words. Base, okay? Economic data, rudiments, foundation, okay, news events, economic data. All these things are, correct and they are related to fundamental. Now, fundamentals are just like news events. They are things that are like from the name fundamental. They are very important, right? They are very important, or they are the foundation of even trading. Because they are so important, we don't joke with them and we want to be aware of what is happening in real time in the world or anywhere in the market, right? So that's what we'll be talking about today. How to interpret this fundamental data, how to apply it in the market, how to stay aware of this fundamental so that you don't make costly mistakes when trading. Fundamentals are very important, and even if you don't trade them, you being aware of them, even if you don't use fundamentals to trade it immediately, you don't just maybe short up or long a pair based on fundamental. You being aware of this thing will save you money, will save you unnecessary stop losses. So for Forex Factory is the site we'll use. We'll use two sites actually, Forex Factory and also Cryptocraft, for us to if you can hear my voice. I believe my mic is on. If you can hear me, someone is saying he can't hear me. Please confirm if you can hear my voice. Please confirm if you can hear my voice. All right then. All right, perfect. So we'll be making use of two sites, Cryptocraft and forexfactory.com. And also we'll be teaching you about crypto fundamentals, meaning that we'll discuss two fundamentals, one for normal day trading And the other one is crypto fundamentals, meaning how you can make research on coins or tokens to buy for long term. That's what we'll be talking about, but not today. We will not be doing that today. Today we'll focus on Forex Factory and also cryptocraft. And then if time permits, we'll start live analysis as well. Meaning that you guys will be sharing your screen randomly and be showing us what you have. Like you come up with a trade idea based on what we have taught you about market type, market structure, your other blocks, supply and demand, and your confluences. So we'll be making use of all these things today. Now, Forex Factory is a site where we get these fundamentals from. They're already, written down over here. A lot of traders don't even know that this site exists. A lot of traders don't know that fundamental analysis is very important. But you're privileged enough to know that these things exist, and how to even apply or interpret them is what we want to delve into today. Fundamentals, as like we all said earlier, are important events. And these important events are listed on this site as shown here, as shown over here. I'll be showing you how you can interpret them using this detail, what this actual means, the forecast, the previous, the graph, everything. I'll be showing you what it means and how to even use it, which is the most important thing. Now, you need to understand something. All cryptocurrencies are trading against what? All cryptocurrencies are trading against one. Can someone let me know what all crypto coins or tokens are trading against? Someone said BTC. Someone said dollar. Someone said USD. USD, perfect. Now, all cryptocurrencies are trading against USD, USDT. USDT is the same thing as USD, right? USD and USDT are the same thing. USDT is just a crypto form of USD. You get? It's just a crypto form of USD, meaning that if the value of one USD is, let's say, 1, the value of one USDT will be what? It will also be 1. So they are like the same thing. Their value is the same. Is the same. Yes. So since all cryptocurrencies are trading against USD, we'll be focused only on. Now let me just do this before I unfilter. I kind of filter it out. Now, if you open this site on your phone or your tab or your system, you'll see that it will be on default like this, meaning that all the currencies rather will be listed here. And you see that we have Australian dollar over here, we have Japanese yen, we have Australian dollar, we have Chinese yen, we have Swiss franc, we have New Zealand dollar, we have Australian dollar, we have euro, we have British pound, we have Japanese yen, and the rest. So all of these currencies are world currencies, and they have their own fundamentals. But we are concerned with only the USD because all cryptocurrencies are trading against the USD. As such, our primary focus will be on what? On USD. Our primary focus will be on what? On USD, because all cryptocurrencies are trading against the USDT, and the USDT is the same thing as what? The USD. Forexfactory.com. You can check it out on your phones or laptops or your tabs. Now, the first thing you want to do as a crypto trader is to filter out. You click on this filter over here. Once you click on this filter over here, you're going to deactivate Australian dollar, you're going to deactivate Canadian dollar, you're going to deactivate Swiss franc, Chinese yen, euro, Great Britain pound, Japanese yen, New Zealand dollar, and leave only what? USD. You're going to leave only USD. Only USD. Only USD. Right? You're going to leave only USD. So you click on what? Apply filter. That's the first thing to do. Once you're done with that, you know that you are left with only USD. Look at the currency. You can see that you only have what? USD. Everything up until the last place is what? Just USD, because you have filtered it out. You have filtered the rest out rather. The next thing you want to do is to focus only on what we call the red folder news. The red folder news are the ones that are very important, and they tend to cause market movement or market volatility more than any type of news. We have the red folder, which is the high impact news. We have the orange, which is medium. We have the yellow, which is the what? the low impact, and then we have the gray or ash, which is the less or non-economic news. You can see that this is yellow, this is red. We have orange over here. This is orange. This is orange. This is another orange, right? So we'll be focused only on what we call the red folder news, and we'll simply use this filter to filter out what we want. You see that this one is called what? Non-economic, meaning that it has no impact at all in the market. So we are going to just deactivate it because we don't really need it. Then we have the low impact as seen or shown here, low impact expected. We don't really need that because they don't tend to move markets the way like it's supposed to be. So on filter, we just click it out. Then we have the orange, which is the medium impact expected, right? We still don't need this, so just click this. Then we have the high impact, which is the red folder news. This is the only thing we need. You see, we have filtered out two things, the currency and the what? The impact. So we click on apply filter. Two things done, right? Two things have been done. And then we are left with only the red folder news and what? The USD as the currency. Hope that's understood. We are left with only the red folder and the what? The USD as the currency. Perfect. Now, how can we start, interpreting this data? Please, if you have not been paying attention, pay attention at this point in time. Pay attention at this point in time. How to interpret this data. Now, you know that these are the dates. Like this is Monday now. On Monday, there was no I'm using previous data. I'm going to use previous data, and I'm also going to use like what is going to happen in the future. You guys, I'm going to analyze what is going to happen in the future as well. So let's just, Monday, 13 January, which was last month, nothing really happened on Monday. There was no red folder news. So we are not really like bothered. On Tuesday, what happened? Tuesday, January 14th, at 2:30 p.m., this currency, USD, and it is still what? Red folder. This is the name of the fundamental now. This is now the news events. This is now the fundamental we're talking about. Core PPI, month over month, which is the core producer price index. PPI means producer price index. M over M means month over month, meaning that this data is released after every month. After every what? Month. So we have the core PPI month over month. And how are we going to interpret it? We click on this detail. But before we click on this detail, look at, we have what, the actual, we have the forecast, we have the previous, right? Actual, forecast, and previous, right? Now we are going to make use of this. Actual is the real data. That is the real data that was released at exactly 2:30 p.m. This data were released, or was released rather, for this particular one, right? Well, this was the forecast before time. Before this data was released, investors were forecasting, were speculating that this would be the data, 0.2%. While 0.2% over here falls under the previous. From the name previous, you know that it's just like data that has occurred already. Meaning that this actual will be the previous for the what? For the next month, right? Meaning that this previous was once an actual, because we are moving forward, right? The next month now, it will not be the what? The previous. Investors will use the previous data to give out the forecast. You as a trader now, you are focused on what? The forecast and the actual data. You're focused on what? The forecast and the actual data. While the investors or the people who are speculating, people who have a say in the market, are now giving us the what? The forecast. And they do that by analyzing maybe the previous or other things they tend to look out for before coming up with the forecast, what they speculate, what they think about the economy. Hope that's understood. Please confirm if you understand what I've been saying up until this point before we move into detail, how to interpret it in properly. Perfect. Now, how do you interpret this data? You see this open detail, you're going to click on it, right? You click on it. Once you click on that, you will see this display, the specs. Please pay attention. This is the source. The Bureau of Labor Statistics is the source of this news, core PPI, month over month, meaning producer price index, core producer price index, month over month. And we are getting this information directly from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. The Bureau of what? Bureau of Labor Statistics. And it measures the change in the price. This is what it measures. Change in the price of finished goods and service sold by producers, excluding food and energy. As seen here. It measures the change in the price of finished goods and services sold by producers, excluding food and what? And energy. This is the usual effect now. The usual effect is that if actual is greater than forecast, is what? Good for currency. Actual greater than forecast is what? Is good for currency. Actual greater than forecast is what? Is good for currency. It means that this is the word forecast, this is the actual, this is the previous. It means that if what we have as the actual is released and the numbers are greater than the forecast, it is what? It is a good thing for USD. It is a good thing for what? For USD. Now here's where it gets like very, very interesting. You need to understand that one thing that is good for a currency is bad for the other one. Meaning that, we have two currencies trading against each other. For instance, we have BTC USDT. BTC USD is the same thing as BTC USDT, right? BTC USDT. It means that if it is good for USD, it's automatically bad for what? BTC. If it is good for USD, it is what? Bad for BTC. So it means that if you are trading a pair like BTC USDT, for instance, we are trading a pair like BTC USDT, and then a data like this is being released, and the actual comes out greater than the forecast. And the data comes out greater than the forecast. It means that it is a good thing for USD. And because you have BTC USDT, BTC is going to what? It's going to dump. It's going to dump. You get? It's going to dump because they are trading against each other. Who is confused at this point in time? Is anyone confused? Is anyone confused? So it measures what? The usual effect is that actual greater than forecast is good for currency. That's what it measures. And look at what happened here. The actual came out less than the forecast, which is a bad thing for USD. So if it is a bad thing for USD, what do you think will happen to BTC USDT? BTC USDT is going to what? It's going to pump, right? It's going to pump because it's a bad thing for the USD. BTC is going to pump while USDT is going to what? It's going to dump. It's going to dump. Let's use more examples. Yes, all not just BTC, but all the coins trading against the USDT. I was using USDT because I was just using BTC as an example. Let's use another example. It's the same thing. Let's just use another example, another scenario. Let's use the second data here on Tuesday now. CPI month over month. I'm going to click on open detail. Then let's interpret this together. Please pay attention. Let's interpret this together. It said that it measures the change in the, first of all, this data is coming from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. It's coming from the what? Bureau of Labor Statistics. It measures change in the price of goods and services purchased by consumers. That's just what it measures. Change in the price of goods and services purchased by consumers. And that the usual effect is that actual greater than is good for currency. Actual greater than forecast is what? Good for currency. And it's being released monthly, about 16 days after the month end. That's the frequency. Now let's look at this. When this data was released, It that was released on Wednesday, 15 January at exactly 2:30 p.m. as well. At exactly 2:30 p.m. And this was the forecast. This was the actual data. 0.4 was the forecast. Actual was what? 0.4% as well. So in this type of scenario whereby you have because there's like the market will just remain indifferent. You get the market will just remain what? Indifferent, because the actual and the forecast are the same. Let's use another data now. Let's use unemployment claims. I'm using multiple examples already. Just pay attention to what I'm saying. So this is what we call unemployment claims. Unemployment claims. Let's look out for what's happening here. You're just going to click on open detail here. Click on open detail. Then you're going to see the details will just appear. The source of this news, unemployment claim, is from the Department of Labor. It's from the Department of what? Of Labor. And it measures the number of individuals who filed for unemployment insurance for the first time during the past week. It measures the number of individuals who filed for unemployment insurance for the first time during the past week. And the usual is that if the actual is less than forecast, now you see that this one is different from the first one and the second one. If the actual is less than forecast, it is good for what? Good for currency. Actual less than forecast is what? It is good for currency. Actual less than forecast is what? Is good for currency. Meaning that if you have less people who are unemployed, it is a good thing for the what? For the currency or the economy. It is a good thing for the currency or the economy. And look at what happened here. The forecast was 210,000. 210,000, but the actual data was 217,000 people. You can see that this is a bad thing for the what? For the currency, right? This is a bad thing for USD, because you have more people that are unemployed. You have more people that are unemployed in your economy, meaning that the economy is not really doing well for the past 1 week. You get, as at the time this thing was released. You get. So it is now a bad thing for USD. And if it's a bad thing for USD, what will happen to BTC USDT now? BTC USDT is going to what? It's going to pump, because USD is weak. There is a bad news for USD. You get. There's a bad thing for USD. Hope that makes sense now. Hope that makes sense, please. Yeah. So now let's use another scenario. Let's interpret another data. We are going to see everything on the live chat. Just calm down. You need to even know how to interpret the data first before you see it on live chat. Meaning we use previous data to see how it correlates with the data. I get what you mean, but just calm down. Now let's interpret this again. You need to even know how to interpret it first. Right? You need to know how to interpret it first. Now we have what we call flash service PMI. This is another red folder news. Let's click on the detail. Once it opens like this, you see that the source is what? S&P Global. This is the source of this news, S&P Global. And it measures the level of diffusion index based on surveyed purchasing managers in the service industry. It measures the level of diffusion index based on what? The surveyed purchasing managers in the service industry. And this is the usual effect. Actual greater than forecast is good for currency. Actual greater than forecast is what? Is good for currency. Now look at what happened. The forecast was 56.4, but the actual is what? 52.8. What do you think will now happen to USD now? If the actual greater than forecast is good for currency, and then we have the actual is now less than the forecast, what do you think will happen to the USD? It's going to dump. It's going to dump. While BTC is going to what? It's going to pump. USDT is weak because this is bad news for it. Investors were expecting 56.4, and then suddenly 52.8 was released. It is a bad thing for the USD or the United States dollar. While I know that one thing that for one person is good for the other one if they are trading against each other, right? So it is now a good thing for BTC, while a bad thing for the US dollar. Hope that makes sense, please. Yes, BTC will pump. Perfect. Now, before we proceed, I want to make mention of something. There are, you see under these fundamentals now, there are fundamentals that are even much more stronger. Although all of them here are red folder news, there are some that are still stronger than the other ones. And please take note of the following red folder news. We have the Federal Open Market Committee, FOMC, minutes actually. FOMC minutes. The Federal Open Market Committee meeting minutes. And then we also have the consumer index, which is the CPI. Just take note of these things. The consumer price index, the CPI, is also a very, very strong fundamental. We also have the non-farm payroll, the NFP. The non-farm payroll, the NFP, is another fundamental. And then we also have the federal funds rate. The federal funds rate. You get the federal funds rate. Now you need to understand that this actual greater than forecast we are talking about in terms of the interpretation changes depending on the news. Scenarios whereby when actual is less than the forecast, to not be a good thing still for the currency. It depends on the news. When you consider something like unemployment claims now, the forecast less than the actual less than the forecast will be what? Will be a good thing for the USD because you want less people to be people to have to be unemployed in the economy. So if you have lesser number of people that are unemployed, then it is a good thing for your currency. Would that make sense? It will not be a good thing for your currency. But if you have more people that are unemployed, it is a bad thing for your currency, right? Yeah, so it varies. Depending on the news, as we have interpreted the unemployment claims and the CPI. You see that in unemployment claims, it is only when the actual is less than the forecast that it is a good thing for the currency. While for the CPI, that's the consumer price index, it's only when the actual is greater than the forecast that it will be good thing for the what? For the currency. Hope that makes sense, please. So do you have any questions so far based on this explanation before we lay another block on the fundamental? Search on that. And these are very, very important. I said the non-farm payroll, the consumer price index, the federal funds rate, the Federal Open Market Committee minutes, or their press conference. For the FOMC is very, very important. All right then. So let's move a step further. Now let's take for instance the federal funds rate. Now the federal funds rate has to do with, right? Has to do with the US. The federal funds rate is data that is being released by the Fed, which is the Federal Reserve. By the what? The Federal Reserve. So what they do is, let's just go to that. Now, this is the federal funds rate. Let's just interpret and explain this federal funds rate because there is also a very, very important news. Federal funds rate is a very, very important news. Now, in the economy, right? In the economy, if you use your currency definitely in your economy. If you have like your currency being everywhere, it's everywhere, everywhere. You can find it everywhere. Like they are printing a lot of it and they are just circulating it. What do you think will happen to the value of that currency? Who can answer that? What do you think will happen to the value of that currency? Obviously, because it is easily available, it's going to what? It's going to reduce in value, it's going to depreciate. And what will happen if there's scarcity of that currency? What do you think will happen if there's scarcity of that currency? It is very, very difficult and or hard to find that currency. What do you think will happen to that currency? Obviously, it's going to be the opposite, right? It's going to pump and to gain more value over time. Now, the federal funds rate manage or regulate the circulation or the supply of this currency through one of the following, through numerous ways or through several ways rather. One of the most effective way they use is through the increase or decrease of the federal funds rate or the interest rate. The federal funds rate, in other words, the interest rates. Now, the interest rate will make people to either borrow more money or to ignore borrowing money from the banks. If you borrow more money from the bank, you are saturating the economy with that currency. If you discourage borrowing, that currency would gain value because it will be less available or less accessible. They do that by increasing or decreasing the interest rates. So if the economy is having excess money, they'll increase the interest rates. If there's limited cash, they will ease the economy by lowering the interest rate. Now this is very, very important because a lot of businesses survive on this or they depend on this, right? If the economy is too tight, there is less money in circulation. What do you think will happen to businesses then? There's no money. It's too difficult for you to get the money. What do you think will happen to these businesses? Who can answer that? Or the economy in general? What do you think was going to happen? Business will be very, very slow. Very correct. Business will collapse. Very, very correct. Slow, exactly. Because there is no money to make transactions happen. While that will make the value very, very valuable, but at the end of the day, there's no enough money in the economy to make business flourish. So at the end of the day, the economy will still be heated hardly, right? So that's one extreme scenario. Another thing that might happen is that when you have like excess money now, too much money, you know that if the economy is too tight now, there will be no money, right? And people will not get employed because there's no money to even pay them, right? So the economy is going to be very, very tight. But what do you think will happen if there is excess of cash now? There's so much money in the economy. What do you think will happen to these businesses or the economy? Because we are complaining that business will be hard. We were complaining that business should be hard if you have less money in the economy. But what do you think will happen now if you have excess of it? Not moderate, we just have excess of it everywhere. The businesses will begin to flourish, but at a certain time, that currency is going to be rendered useless. It's going to be rendered what? Useless, because the value is going to what? It's going to just be crashing because it is not everywhere. So you can see that both scenarios are bad for the economy. We don't want to have an extremely tight economy, and we don't want the economy to be too loosened. So as a result of that, the federal funds rate is being regulated by the what? By the Federal Reserve, so that we will not have we will not have either of both extremes, right? We will not have either of the extremes. We don't want the economy to be too tight, the economy to be too loose. You get? So as a result of that, they try to make the economy in a favorable or in a moderate way. Once they see that the economy is getting out of hand, they will have to maybe increase or decrease the interest rate. If let's say, for instance, in 2020, during the COVID-19, money was printed and it was given out, right? Money was printed and it was what? Given out. Is that not so? Money was printed and it was just given out. Excess cash was just pumped into the economy. We were just giving out people money, giving people money, excess money, right? A lot of money was just given, was just like, because people were in need of money to take care of themselves, right? So as a result of that, over time, inflation came into play. Over time, inflation came into what? Into play. And because of the inflation that occurred, the interest rate very, very high at 5%. As you can see, it has been kept for a very long period of time, since 2020, at 5.50, 5.50, 5.50. You get? For a very long period of time, until last year, where they significantly what? Reduced it. Because the economy was now fairly doing well, was doing like fairly well. You get? So that was why they now reduced the interest rate, so that people can now borrow money, because it was now too tight. It was too tight, or it was too losing rather, because excess money was everywhere. Money was everywhere, and they do not want the value of the USD to get to diminish or to reduce, or inflation to happen in the US. You get? So the Federal Reserve is tasked with controlling this interest rate. You don't want the extreme of either scenarios. You don't like or extremely losing. There should be a moderation whereby businesses will be able to flourish, and at the same time, the value or the currency should not lose its value. You get? Businesses should be able to flourish well, and at the same time, the value of that currency must not lose its value. Hope that makes sense now. So that's one thing the federal funds rates do, and they do that through one of these ways, which is the regulation of the federal funds rate or the interest rate. Hope that makes sense, please. Hope that makes sense, please. Now, the federal funds rate is a fundamental that you say the effect usually in the long run. Now that the interest rates have been reduced, it means that more people will keep on putting more money, getting more money from the banks. They're just getting money to support their businesses, and employment is going to flourish, because there's now money to pay staff, there's now money to do a lot of businesses, right? But at the same time, they do not want it to lose its value. But as at right now, because it has been reduced, the economy is doing fairly well. I'm talking about US economy, please. US economy is now fairly doing well, right? You get? And in one way or the other, the economy of the US has effects in other currencies, or other countries, right? They have effects in other countries as well. Now, let's look out for another fundamental and how to interpret it. This is a very, very important fundamental, and that is why I'm analyzing it very, very well. Please, if you have a question forward, please ask your question. Ask your question if there's any. Ask questions, please. If you have questions for now. For some of you that are saying you don't understand, I'm letting you to ask questions now. Ask questions. Then you deceive yourself. You get. So ask questions so that I can clarify things for you. Ask questions. The important news, I said federal funds rate, non-farm payroll, Federal Open Market Committee minutes or the press conference or their statement. We also have the CPI, which is the Consumer Price Index, right? I said CPI, NFP, Federal Funds Rate, FOMC. These are the most important red folder, right? All right, someone asked a very important question. He said that after the news is confirmed, will I take trades immediately or use my technicals to look for long or short? Perfect. This is a logical and important question now. He said that, how do you now use this news? You get, how do you then use this news? Let's say, for instance, right, you have a setup on BTC USDT. For instance, you have a setup on BTC USDT, and the data coming out is in the favor of BTC, and you want to long BTC. Once the news is being released, you'll be able to know that, okay, yes, fundamental aligns with my technical. I'm not going to leave my position open, or I'm going to reopen my position. But in scenarios whereby the fundamental is against your technicals, you'll just likely what? Close down your position, because the fundamental is against you. I don't want to be taking trades that are against fundamentals. They will kick you out of the market. You get? So always align yourself with fundamentals. That is why it is very important for you to always check your fundamentals before taking news. Some of the stop losses that are getting activated are just as a result of not knowing that fundamentals exist. It is very, very important to know your fundamentals. The time on the website is correlating to you can change it here. You get, this is Casablanca. You can change it based on your time zone. Based on your time zone, you can just change it from here. Is there any difference between USDT and BTC? USDT is a different coin. BTC is also a different one. The time on the website is good. Okay, I'll answer this. Someone is asking, how will the Federal Reserve make the economy stable? You know that they release this data on a monthly basis, right? So if they release the data, for instance, and the data is suggesting that people can get more money from the bank, obviously it means that there will be more opportunities, because there's excess money now to pay a lot of businesses, right? But in scenarios whereby the economy is being tightened, it means that you need to be more careful. And the most important thing is for you to even apply it on your life chart. You get, for you to make money maybe on a daily basis. You get, although trading fundamental is not advisable for newbies, but you want to be aware of this fundamental so that you will not be trading against the fundamental. You get, if fundamental is giving you the go ahead to long, and then you have a selling opportunity, look for buys instead of the what? Instead of the sales. Because fundamental is giving you like a backup. Fundamentals can never be interrupted by technicals. You get, fundamentals are basic stuff. They are important events. Right? Yes. Class is being recorded. If you're just joining, you can always watch the video. All right. So let's continue, guys. All right, then let's continue, please. Yes, the news you can be found every day. You can find the news every day over here. If you have a limit order and a fundamental is in line with your technical, but it is not close to your order, what are you advised to do? Now, if you have like a limit order, let's say you want to buy, right? And then the fundamental is in line with that. What you just do is simply wait for market to retrace to your order block or your supply or demand zone. To wait for market to retrace to your supply or demand zone. Tap it and move because the fundamental is in your favor. You just allow the technicals to play by itself, right? To play by itself. Now, let's use like what is going to happen within the next week, which is between let's say Monday 3rd, right? Monday 3rd. We are coming to examples. Let's say Monday 3rd and Friday 7th. Let's apply the filter. Let's see how we are going to interpret this. You can see that this one doesn't have actual at all. And even the forecast has not even been updated yet. The forecast has not been what? Updated yet. So for this one, we'll just wait maybe within the week or before weekend. The forecasts are going to be, written down over here. What investors are expecting is going to be displayed here. Going to be displayed here. So let's just use the preview now. All right, let's use this. Please, let's use this, please. Look at this. We have the unemployment claims over here. We have PPI. So let's just use one of these news over here. This was Thursday, February 13th, last week, right? So let's use this, the PPI month over month. You can see that it was 0.4%. So let's track this data to 230. Let's track this data to on BTC on Thursday. On Thursday, February 13th. Let's go to Thursday, February 13th on BTC. So let's look out for February 13th. That was last week. And let's see how the fundamental played out. Now look at this, please, carefully. Look at this. This is Thursday, February 13th, right? And the news was released around 2:30. Around 2:30. Can you see this like candle over here? This red candle. There was a push to the downside. Push to the downside. You get, because based on the forex factory over here, the news for that was released on February 13, 2:30 p.m. 2:30 p.m. 0.4%, meaning that it is good for what? USD. And if it's good for USD, it is what? Bad for BTC, right? It is bad for BTC. You can see that there was a kind of dump that occurred from here, just a movement to the downside like this. So if you were, like this on the 1 hour time frame, imagine you were like selling or buying on a time frame like 15 minutes time frame or 5 minutes time frame. This will have affected your chart or your trade. This will have affected your chart or your trade. You get? And this effect is usually even more on the FX pairs, right? It's usually more, it has more effect on FX pairs. Let's use GBP USD for instance. You'll be able to see that movement even better. GBP USD. So let's use GBP USD. You'll be able to see the movement better over there. And then we'll use CPI as well. We'll also use current data, like the news. If there's any news today, we are going to see it. We'll check it out and see if there's news for today. So this GBP USD, this February, let's look out for February 13th. This February 13th on GBP USD, you can see that this kind of selling pressure to the downside. You can see this selling pressure to the what? To the downside, because it was a good thing for the USD. Good thing for the USD. You can see this little movement to the downside. But let's use a more like strong news, right? Let's just use like a more stronger news, like the ones out of the ones I mentioned, like the CPI. Let's track down one of the CPI and see. Okay, on Wednesday 12, there was CPI by 2:30 again, and it was a good one for USD, meaning that things like GBP will double. So let's check. Let's check February 12th. That's Wednesday, February 12th at 2:30. Let's see what really happened. Look at this. Look at this, guys. You can see this sell. You can see the sell from this point down to this low. And you see why I said we have like the ones that are very, very impactful are like 4, right? You see this selling pressure downward. Remember, it was a good thing for the what? For the USD, right? It was a good thing for the USD, meaning that it is a bad thing for what? For GBP. Bad thing for GBP, or it is a bad fundamental for GBP, and that is why GBP dumped here. It lost its value. It lost its value to the what? To the USD. USD was gaining value while GBP was what? This losing value. The 4, I said it earlier, the 4 fundamentals are the federal funds rate, the consumer price index, the non-farm payroll, and then the Federal Open Market Committee, FOMC. Write it down. FOMC, NFP, CPI, and federal funds rate. Federal funds rate. Yes. So let's track another one. The ones that are very, very, high impact. Let's use let's look out for like impact news, like let's say NFP now. Let's look for NFP. I think NFP is the first Friday of every month. So let's use this. Look at it, non-farm employment change. So we'll track it on February 7th, right? It was released at 2:30, February 7th. February 7th, 2:30. So let's look out for February 7th, 2:30. Still on this pair. February 7th at 2 o'clock, 2:30, right? So let's look out for it. Let's look at what happened. You see, it was what? 143K. And on a normal day, we're expecting that actual greater than forecast is what? Good for currency. But it came out less than the forecast, which is a bad thing for what? Which is a bad thing for what? The USD. But look at what happened to GBP. As USD will be dumping, GBP is supposed to what? Pump. You can see this impulsive movement to the upside. Although price is not close there. But this is like, if you go to the 15 minutes time frame, you'll see candles here forming to the upside. You get. So this data affect the market like in real time. You'll be able to see these movements like in real time. But as a beginner or as a newbie, you are not advised to trade fundamentals. You just want to know about them so that you'll be able to manage your trade effectively. You'll be able to manage your trade what? Effectively. But you are not going to be trading news. News conditions are usually bad. Usually like very, very bad. It's very, very bad during the news because volatility is very, very high. And some of your orders might not even get filled because of the spread as at that point in time. So you need to be careful with fundamentals. You want to be aware that these fundamentals exist and you want to be able to manage your trade effectively, right? You want to manage your pending positions effectively. You get. Now, let's go back to Forex Factory. Why we are teaching you Forex, why we are teaching you fundamentals is for you to be aware that news events occur or they exist rather. And what do you want to know about them? You want to know about, why do you want to know about them rather? You want to know about them because you want to be able to manage your trade effectively. You don't want to be in a situation whereby you are longing or you have a longing limit or you have a limit order for long. And then the fundamental that is being released is going against you. While you don't even know that there's a fundamental like that. You don't even know at all. So what do you think will happen to your trade? What do you think will happen to your trade if you don't know that this fundamental exists? You're trying to long while market is dumping based on fundamental. What do you think is going to happen to your trade? Obviously, you're going to get stopped out, right? You're going to get stopped out because the fundamental is against you. It's not in your favor, right? It's not in your favor. Hope that makes sense now. Yeah. So that's what you need to know about fundamental. Fundamental analysis is not really hard. It's not really hard. It's not really hard. You watch the video, you will find out that it's very, very easy. Straight to the point. This thing is not really hard. You can understand it in 30 minutes. Right? In 30 minutes, you can even understand the whole Forex Factory. Now, the next side we are talking about is CryptoCraft. CryptoCraft is just like Forex Factory, but it's just like a simplified version for crypto traders. You don't need to do all that filter. The only thing you want to filter out is just the impacts of the news here. You get? But the news here is only related to what? It's only related to cryptocurrency traders. You can see that the interface are similar, right? You can see that the interface are similar. So this one affects just for crypto traders. You get? It affects crypto traders, but not Forex traders. Is it advisable to trade before the news or after? It's advisable to stay out of the market once news is about to be released. Let's say you have done your analysis, and 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours before the news is being released, you just decide to what, to close your trade, wait for the news first to be released, then you know whether or not you can reopen your limit order, or that place is going to be violated based on the news. Based on the news. How long does the news take effect from the time it started from? Once they release the data in real time, you're going to start seeing that movement, that chart movement. You get, you're going to start seeing it. You get immediately. So it's immediately actually. You cannot know that. You cannot know that. You cannot like use the forecast to know what is going to be released. That is why you're waiting for the actual. It's only the actual that will tell you whether the currency will be good or bad. If you want to see the movement like faster, your lower time frame will show you a bigger movement. But let's say you're looking at the chart on the 4 hour time frame. Definitely, you're not expecting the 4 hour candles to be pumping and dumping massively, right? You get, because of the news. So the lower time frame tend to move faster because you're zooming in down to the lower time frame. Now let's try and check the news for this week. The news for this week, that's between 24th and 28th. Sorry, this for March. Let's go to February. 24th and 28th. Let's apply the settings. You can see that this week there's no much fundamentals for crypto traders. The only one was on Monday and Tuesday, and it was just Trump speaking. Based on what he says now from the speech, you'll be able to know whether the market is going to pump or dump. If he says something positive, like let's say for instance, he makes a statement like cryptocurrencies are here to stay, and we look forward to integrating the space. Obviously, that's a good statement for the cryptocurrencies, right? But let's say he makes a statement like cryptocurrencies are threats to the economy. We are going to abolish them very soon. It's a bad thing. So you expect the cryptos to dump, right? So depending on what he says, because he's a very, very important person. It's a very, very important person. How will you know the news? How will you know the exact time the news will be out that day? That is why we have this date over here. That is why we have this date and time over here. Someone is saying that he asked me to start the class from the beginning and I ignored. How do you expect me to start a class all over again? That doesn't make sense now. That's why we always have the recorded version, right? That's why we have the recorded version. You can always go back and watch it. If you don't understand anything, maybe you came late, that's why you're asking us to start it from the beginning, which is not even fair for other people on the call. You're dragging us back, right? But we have recorded versions. You can always rewatch at your own convenience. You get. How about the man called Powell? That's the Federal Open Market Committee meeting I'm talking about. Based on what he says on that podium, right? Based on what he says on that podium, it can either be what we call hawkish or dovish. It can either be what? Hawkish or dovish. Hawkish means that if he says things that are making the economy to like tighten up in the sense that you want to like increase the interest rate, definitely it will be a good thing for the currency because you are making it to have more value. While if you're losing the economy, it's going to be what? Dovish. Hawkish means to tighten, while dovish means to what? To loosen. Right? Dovish simply means to loosen. It's for days. Look at this. Monday, February 24th, 8 a.m. Sorry, this one is 7:49 p.m. US President Trump speaks. You get? CryptoCraft is like a simplified form of Forex Factory. It was recently they got this website. It has always been Forex Factory. The previous batches have always been using Forex Factory, but crypto is getting more accepted, and they decided to get a site that is just dedicated to crypto traders. You get? The CryptoCraft is like just like Forex Factory, but this one is like dedicated to just crypto traders. But all the interpretation we have been doing on Forex Factory is the same thing. You're going to apply it the same way also here. Please ask questions, ask more questions. CryptoCraft is okay. In fact, it makes it more easier for you, right? It makes it more easier for you. Ask questions, guys. Ask questions. I should give an example on CryptoCraft. All right. Look at this now. You know why this one doesn't have data? You know why this one doesn't have data? Because all this one is just Trump speaking, right? It's just Trump speaking. So it's just a speech. It's from the speech you know whether market is to dump or not. You get? From the speech that you're going to know whether market is going to dump or not. Like I gave an example of two scenarios. If we say something positive about cryptocurrencies, they will gain value. If we say something bad, it's going to what? It's going to dump. Now let's look out for data from CryptoCraft. Let's look out for data from CryptoCraft, please. Let's say from the 3rd to Friday like this. Now look at this. US unemployment rates. US unemployment rates, right? So let's just click the detail. Now, because this one is not dedicated to just crypto traders, you'll see that this one is coming from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, and it measures the percentage of the total workforce that is employed and actively seeking employment during the previous month. Actual greater than forecast is good for crypto. Actual greater than forecast is what? Good for crypto. You see that on Forex Factory is the opposite now. You get? On Forex Factory, we are looking out for actual less than forecast to be good for the USD. But this one, when you have when you have more people that file for unemployment rates, because it is affecting the USD, right, in a negative way, this one will be what? Affecting the cryptocurrency in a what? In a good way. Remember that they are trading against each other. So one thing that is good for, if it is good for one, it is bad for the other one automatically. Ask questions before we move to live analysis. Let's move to live analysis. You just share your screen, give us what you have. This is just like preparation for exams now, based for the live analysis. Ask questions about Forex, the news. Yes, good for crypto means pump on crypto. Yes, that simply means that's just what it simply means. No. Usually, once they release the news, let's say we release the news by 1:30. Usually, after like 30 minutes, the effect must have like calmed down already. Within the 10-15 minutes, the news must have played out already. So maybe an hour later, you can now consider opening your positions if they are not being invalidated, and if the news is in line with that analysis you did. If the news is good for USD and bad for BTC, and I have a short setup, does that guarantee me my trade won't hit SL? It means that the fundamental is in your favor. You get? Means that if market can just retrace, tap your order block, it can what? Dump, right? It can dump because fundamentals is in your what? Favor. It's in your favor. I was expecting someone to ask this question. What if two news come out a day saying opposite analysis on your fundamental? What do you do? Meaning that one is good, one is bad, right? Usually, if two news come out at the same time, one is good, one is bad, usually the market will just remain calm. The market will neither pump nor dump because they're like contradicting each other. It's just like -1 plus 1. So there will be calmness in the market. Any other question? Ask questions, ask questions. In February 17, there are 3 news. You pick just one. Why, sir? February 17. Let's go back to February 17. That was on Forex Factory, I think. Was it February 7th or February 17th? I think it was February 7th. February 7th. Look at it here. Now, look at this. I told you that we have the ones that are very, very, like strong, right? We have the ones that are very, very strong, right? And NFP is one of the ones that like is very, 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 very strong. You get? It's very, very, very strong. Look at it. February 7th. The data is here and the data is still on Forex Factory. Look at it. February 7th. Average hourly earnings. Non-farm employment change. Unemployment change, right? The same thing on Cryptocraft over here. This is just for February 7th. All right. Unemployment rates, non-farm period. This is just the non-farm period. That's the non-farm employment change, right? Average hourly earnings month over month. Now look at what happened here. We have this one. This one came out good for USD, right? This one also came out what? Good for USD. You understand? But we have a very important one. This part of this non-farm employment change is part of the 4 I mentioned earlier. NFP. That is why even though these two, 4.0, 4.0 are still good, this NFP, because of hierarchy now, this NFP is stronger than what? This unemployment rate and this average hourly earnings. That is why when we went there and checked it, you see that market stayed what? Obeyed the NFP. NFP is a very, very strong news. Very, very strong news, right? You see that we have a lot of red folder here, but I mentioned 4 that are very, very strong. NFP, CPI, FOMC, Federal Funds Rate. You get? So in scenarios now where you have NFP and other ones, always look out for what NFP will do because it is a stronger fundamental. Even though these ones are still red folder, NFP is stronger than them. Will that make sense now? NFP is what? Is stronger than them. You get? So Cryptocraft has the same data. You can see it over here. Cryptocraft has the same data over here. Forex Factory has the same data over here. This one just makes your work easier. And look at the interpretation. Look at the difference now. Unemployment rate. Look at this one said what? Actual less than forecast is good for currency. Right? What's on Cryptocraft? Sorry guys for the interruption. Please confirm if you can hear me. Please confirm if you can hear me quickly. Perfect. Now look at, while on Forex Factory, it was showing what? Actual less than forecast is good for currency for unemployment claims. Please pay attention. Actual less than forecast is good for currency for unemployment claims. On cryptocrafts, is showing what? Actual, the same unemployment rate now. Actual greater than forecast is what? Good for crypto. You get this one. This crypto. I like this cryptograph because it's just specifically for crypto traders. Among you guys, there are people who have interest in forex trading. That is why I just started with the Forex Factory, right? That's why I started with the Forex Factory. Sorry, okay, sorry. My screen is not. Can I see my screen now? All right, perfect. You can see the difference, right? While on cryptography, it's telling you that actual greater than forecast is good for crypto, right? On Forex Factory, what is it telling you? Actual less than forecast is what? Good for currency. You can see the difference, right? You can see the difference. Exactly. That one is specifically for crypto traders. So if you're a crypto trader, you cannot be using your cryptocraft straight up. You can be using your cryptocraft straight up. If you want to have interest in FX, you can use this. You get. So ask questions, please. Class is being recorded. Ask questions. Yes, the strategy we teach you is for any type of market. You can use it to trade FX. You can use it to trade FX, obviously. Yes, so ask questions, please. Sorry for the background noise. Ask questions, please. If you will watch the video and you don't understand, just reach out to me. But I don't think that after you watching the video, you have a question, you have like any difficulties. Very straight to the point. How do we know the crypto pairs you should be trading? The knowledge you have, you can apply it in any type of cryptocurrency. You get, there's a lot of them out there. A lot of them out there. Maybe before we start the next class tomorrow, you ask questions from the previous class, or I think there will be a proper revision before the exams where you get to ask a lot of questions. You want to be aware of fundamentals after doing your technicals. Yes, that's what I just answered. So we use the fundamentals to confirm others, and for knowing your fundamentals will save you unnecessary like losses in the market. Knowing your fundamental will save you unnecessary losses in the market. You want to be aware of them so that you don't trade against fundamentals, right? Exam is next week Thursday. All right, guys. Let's do live analysis now. Let me just see how your trades look like. If you want to analyze the market, how do you do it? Let me just check it out. We'll continue that tomorrow. You have some knowledge. That's why we have to do this analysis. You get, if you make your setup take risks on it and execute, right? Whether you're trading demo or live account, be taking good risks. Yes. Today is Thursday, right? So in 1 week time you have your exams. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Randomly now we're picking people to share their screen, give us what they have. So you can just raise up your hand so I can give you access, right? Abba, I'm giving you permission. You can start sharing your screen. Abba, now you to speak. You can start sharing your screen.
Good afternoon, sir. And
yeah, good
thank
afternoon.
you very much for the class. So
yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, let me start sharing. Can you see my screen?
At the moment, not yet.
How about now?
Okay, yeah, I can see it now.
Okay. So this is on Rune USDT. So I picked up the 4 hour. The 4 hour order block.
Okay.
And the imbalance or a bit of fair value gap. There's a break of structure, and I think here also the top is like more of an external break of structure.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So I think waiting for the price to come.
All right, perfect. So what you should just do is to align your position to now.
Okay.
Yes. So this analysis is good.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Yeah.
So I'll put my.
You have to adjust the order block, extend it to the right a bit.
I should extend it to the right a bit.
Yes. Yeah, at the order block.
Okay, like this.
No, the other block. Drag it.
Oh, the other block itself. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. And TP back to high, and it's slightly below the.
Yeah, you can still give it some breathing room. Take it down a bit.
A bit down to the previous order block.
Up a bit. No, just around there is okay.
Oh, I think, let me see. This is 2.3 to 1.
Yes, 1 is to 2.3. Then adjust the position tool again. Adjust it. The other block should be exactly on the position tool. So either adjust the other block or the position tool.
Like this?
Yes, but you just pass it a bit. Take it back like exactly. Perfect.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
Okay.
that's okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You can
Okay.
stop sharing your screen.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, you're welcome. Who will be the next person? Nobody wants to present. MD, okay. I've allowed you to start speaking. Go ahead.
Good.
Yeah, afternoon. Afternoon. Go ahead.
Okay, let me share my screen. Can you see my screen?
Not yet.
Hello, can you see my screen?
I can't see your screen right now.
Hello, can you see my screen?
I said I cannot see your screen.
Probably my network.
So you stop sharing and start sharing again. While he's getting ready, someone can raise up his hand so I can give him permission. Yes, another person can just raise up his hand so I can give him permission.
Can you see my screen?
Not yet.
Yeah? Why?
I can't see your screen. I can't see your screen. Stop sharing and start
How about
sharing
now?
again. Still can't see it. Who is God's favor? If you want, maybe we'll pick another person while you're trying to figure out maybe your network or so. God's favor, raise up your hand so I can just pick you. God's favor. Alright, let me pick at random. Olayinka, so you'll be the next. I've unmuted your mic, Olayinka, so you can start sharing your screen, Olayinka. Go ahead. Okay, God's favor is ready. I've allowed you God's favor, so go ahead. God's favor, God's favor.
Good.
Please, will be the next.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon,
Yeah,
sir.
go ahead.
Okay. Sorry, let me share my screen. Can you see my screen, sir?
Yeah, I can see your screen now.
Okay, so I have IPUSDT in 45 minutes time frame. So I have a break of structure on this side, a break of structure on the upper side, the second one. So I have two other blocks, other block one and two.
Yeah.
Have fair value gap or imbalance here.
Hmm?
There another fair value gap here. Then this is liquidity. So I'm expecting the market to retrace to this second order block if I can now long it, and the take profit will be on top of this line TP here.
All right, perfect. I like your analysis.
Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, I say your analysis is fine. I like it. So it's very, very clean and clear. The only thing is that
Can you hear me, sir?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Hello, sir.
Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you now. I can hear you now.
I say your analysis is okay. So the only mistake is that when you're marking out your liquidity, use line instead of arrow. So your work will be like better.
Okay, for that point, is it okay at that point?
The liquidity point is okay actually. It's just that we can use line instead of arrow.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you
Okay.
very much. I'm not sharing your screen now.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, you're welcome. Savage Exchange, I will muted your mic. You can start sharing your screen. Savage Exchange. Okay, Flames is ready, so I want to give the floor to Flames now. Go ahead, you can start sharing your screen.
Hello, sir. Good afternoon, sir. Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead. I can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay. Yes, sir. This is Kaito USDT. I'm using 30 minutes time frame.
You're not sharing your screen yet.
Oh, hello, sir.
Yeah, go ahead. I can see your screen now.
Okay. This is Kaito USDT. I'm using the 30 minutes time frame.
Yeah.
I've already won some trade with this pair right from here, right from this side. Uh, I read my TP here with this trade,
Yeah.
this particular the trade I've already mitigated
Other block.
my other blood twice, like twice. I ate from this pair now, so I'm here waiting for another retest, another prover, so that I can execute my trade from here. I can see
That's
this is my gap and this is my liquidity here. So I'm just waiting for it to come back and tap my other block, and here will be my TP. to secure a third consecutive win. I would say it's a win.
All right,
Perhaps, uh,
that's great. Thank you very much.
so it's okay, sir. No. Okay. Okay, so thanks. Thanks for having me. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So who will be the next person? Who will be the next person? CG, you're ready, right? So I've omitted your mic. CG. CJ, we can hear you. Go ahead. Nobody's hearing you. We can see your screen, but we are not hearing you. All right, let's pick another person.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Go ahead. Go ahead. You can start sharing your
You can hear
screen.
me?
Yes.
Sharp. So I have ENA USDT. So on the 4-hour time frame, there is an external break of structure here. So we are currently in a downtrend. So price has come back up to mitigate this other block, and also there is already a change of character and in the internal structure. So price took out this liquidity zone, then fill the fair value gap. Then, so I missed this, but it has mitigated the other block zone. Sha. So if you zoom in, you see that it touched that zone a bit, but did not trigger my entry. They hear me?
Okay.
So there's already a change of character in the internal structure. So I'm predicting that the price will come back down to this place. They might take profits and break this structure over here. So
All right, perfect. That's okay. That's okay. Um, that place you've just labeled now as BOS is supposed to be liquidity. They're not BOS.
okay, liquidity.
Or you just like TP. You just like TP there.
Okay, sir.
All right then. Thank you very much. Who will be the next person to raise up his or her hand? Next person should please go ahead. Raise up your hand. Please.
Hello, sir.
Yeah,
I
go
don't know if
ahead.
you guys can see it clearly. Yeah, so from the external structure, there's a break of structure to the downside. Then another break of structure to the downside. So I'm using a 5 minutes time frame. Sir?
Better the story.
Can you see it now, sir?
It's still blurry. Very, very blurry.
Oh, I'm guessing this might be network.
Yeah.
Is it clear now?
It's not clear at all. It's not. It's still blurry.
Okay.
So maybe get a better network, then come back. Let's give another person a chance. Or you log in your Telegram with your system. It's even worse right now.
Wow. Let me try logging my Telegram on my system.
Yeah. So while you're doing that, let's pick another person.
Okay.
So raise up your hand. Raise up your hand. Who is Golden? Raise up your hand. In fact, I've given you permission to speak, so you just start sharing your screen. Golden.
Hello, good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, good afternoon.
I don't really know if I can share my screen, but let me just try. Is the screen showing?
No.
Where can I really share the screen, though?
Wait, I asked him where you can share the screen.
Yes, something like that, because really showing live here.
Look at from the screen I'm sharing now. You see this place right here. This is where you're going to click on it. You're just going to click on this. As if you have this icon from your own end.
No, I think that's not it, bro. I cannot find the icon, so I don't really know if I can share my screen this way.
Just ask someone to help you share it. The ones that will be sharing their screen. While you're doing that, let's give another person the opportunity. Yeah. Any other person? Taking like 2 more people. B with B. I've allowed you to speak.
Good afternoon, everyone. I don't know if my video can show. I don't even. Let me see. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, can hear you.
All right. Good afternoon. This setup I made this setup just now. So
Can't see your screen.
is my screen showing?
No.
How do I show this? Sorry, maybe I just have to do this. I will log in my Telegram to my phone so I can share my screen to my phone. Just give me a second.
All right. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Now, for those of you that have done the analysis, just send it to the Telegram. I'm going to check it later. Just send it to the Telegram. I'm going to check it later. Just send it to the Telegram so that other people can see it as well. Golden. Okay. B with B. Go ahead. We can see your screen now.
All right. So this is none of these other blocks have been mitigated. So I have my break of structure,
and 2 people are sharing their screen. So Flames. I'm coming. Flames, stop sharing yours for now.
So this
So
is
go ahead.
This is my liquidity, and I'm waiting and I'm expecting this to come here and mitigate this other block so I can take my, and I'm making sure this is giving me a 1:2 RRR. So I'm expecting my take profit somewhere down here. So I'm just expecting this move here to hit this other block here, and I'll be going in for a shot.
All right, perfect. But your position is supposed to be aligned with that other block you want to take the trade from, right?
Yeah, but I'm taking from the upper order block.
Yes, see that you should align it very well. See that you should align it very well.
All right, okay, something like this, right?
Yes. Yeah, then move the other block to the right side.
Okay.
Just drag it to the right. No. From the other end. Then align the other block very well and adjust your stop loss.
Okay. Thank you very much for that. All right.
Yes. All right. Thank you very much. You can stop sharing your screen.
All right. Thank you very much.
Okay. We'll pick the last person now. If you have not picked today, just send your analysis to the group. Tomorrow will now be your chance. Flames, you can go ahead now. Flames, you can go ahead. All right, guys. So we'll continue tomorrow. If you have not done today, tomorrow is an opportunity for you to do yours. Meanwhile, you can be practicing and sending them to the discussion group, right? Be sending them to the discussion group, please. So, do you have any other questions so far the class for today? Do you have any questions so far from the class we had today? You can always rewatch the video for better understanding, right? 2 hours is not like really enough for us to cover everything. That's why sometimes you need to be able to move faster. But online students always have recorded versions, unlike the physical students. You get. So no question. Ask questions, please. All right, guys. In the absence of any other question, I think we can call it a day at this point in time. Please watch the video. If we still have questions, tomorrow is another day. We'll tackle the questions. But I had to give you the very, very best, right? We have to give you nothing but the best. You get. If you have questions, always drop it on the group. And if there are really important questions, write them down so that when we come live again, you ask them, right? You'll be able to ask them. So until tomorrow, then keep doing the analysis and sending them to the group. See you guys tomorrow. Bye. I'll send the recorded version.